Hey, what's going on, guys? We're back with part, what is this, 8? 9? I think it's 8. And we're going to be going a little bit more in depth about our enemies. So first thing I want to do is change this game object to something called enemy. And we don't have that yet, so you should get like a red squiggly line. It's a class that we haven't yet created, but we're about to do it now. So let's make a new class inside of our enemies folder. Control-Shift-A if you haven't memorized that by now. And we're going to call it enemy. Oops, we can just delete all this stuff. Okay, and now if we save it, go back in here, there we go. Okay, so next thing I want to do is the first time we spawn this enemy, I want it to move either left or right randomly, and it's going to have a speed, so even if it moves to the right away from the player, its speed is probably going to be lower than the player, usually. So even if our player is moving along the same path, it should run into that enemy, even if it's not moving towards him. So this way, it's not like all the enemies are always moving towards you. Some are moving towards you, some are moving away from you, just, you know, for some variance here and there. And obviously, we're going to put in a check. So let's say an enemy is faster than a player. If he gets too far away, we're just going to destroy that enemy so that it's not just wasting up resources, because if he's too far away, he's not going to get towards the player, then he's no use to us. Unless maybe we want to just turn him around, that would work too. So first thing I want to do is let's give this guy speed. Let's make a new property and default it to, I don't know, 2. The next thing I want to do is we'll do if random dot, actually, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Just for the sake of this tutorial, we're going to explain a new concept, and this is return values. So we're going to make a new method, if get random bool speed equals negative speed. Alright, I'll explain this in a little bit, but let's go ahead and make this return value first. So as you can see, this looks similar to our start method, except for instead of a void, we now have a bool as the keyword for it, and that is its return value. So this time, when you have a void, you don't really need to return anything. It ends. You know, if I wanted to, I could do that, which means like stop, end this method here. But whenever we do a non-void method, we need to return a value, and that value has to be of type bool. So let's do this. We'll make initialize a new variable called temp. We'll make it default to false. And now remember, this is creating a variable at runtime, and it's going to be of type bool. And to return that value, we're just going to return temp. So now, if we called this function, it will create a new variable called temp, and then return it, which is defaulted to false. But we don't want that. We want it to be random. So what we can do is if random.range between 0 and 2, because remember 2 isn't included, that will actually return a value between 0 and 1. If that equals 1, temp equals true. So what this means is this random.range can return either a 0 or a 1, and if that value equals 1, remember we were talking about that Boolean operator earlier, so if that value equals 1, make it true, and if it's 0, it won't do this, so it'll stay defaulted to false, and then return that Boolean value. Okay? And that's a way of cleaning up your code, so it's not like, we could have done that up in here, you know, above this, but just so we can reuse this again, and it's keeping our methods a lot cleaner. It's something that's really useful to us. So now we've set our speed. Next we want to actually apply motion, so let's make an update function. Um, Now there's a few ways we can do this. We can do a character controller like we did for the player, or we could do a standard, primitive collider like a box collider or a sphere collider. Um, I think just to keep it simple, the easiest way to work with collision is to use a character controller, so that's what we're going to do. Just so I don't have to type it again. Just going to copy this guy. If you remember, this is the one where we can just copy, or force this script to require a character controller. Okay. Now we can do private character controller. Now you'll notice this time I set it to public, or last time it was public, and this time I set it to private, which means that this will not show up in our inspector. And this is just so I could show you guys another way of doing it. So if you make it private, this means no script can access it, except for this one. However, we can still tell this script what it is by using a getComponent character controller. Now what this does is, inside this game object, it will check to see if it has the component type of character controller, and then just return that value. So if it does have a character controller, then this controller value, which is type of character controller, will be set to our character controller, and if it doesn't, it'll be null, or void, nothing. This is utilizing another concept called generics, but we don't need to go into that right now. Just know we can use this for anything. It could be, getting a component of its enemy. It could be anything, but obviously for this we want it to be character controller. Okay. Next thing we want to do is controller dot move, and we'll do new vector3. I'm going to explain this once I'm done, just so I don't have to talk while I'm tapping at the same time. Well, actually, I have a better way of doing this. We're going to make it similar to our platformer motion script. So we'll make another private vector3, and we'll call this direction. Default this to 0, 0. Okay, so first thing I want to talk about is our left and right motion. So we'll do direction dot x equals, or actually we'll do plus equals speed times time dot delta time. And once again, so he's not infinitely adding to our speed, we're going to have to set that x value to 0. This is looking very similar to our platformer motion script, as you can remember. Then what I want us to do is apply gravity to him. So we'll do if controller dot is grounded. Actually, we'll do if he's not grounded. Direction dot y plus equals gravity. Oops, forgot we don't have gravity. I'll make that in a second. Times time dot delta time. Else if so this is else if we are grounded, and let's do get random bool unlikely. We'll make that in a second. Then we'll do direction dot y equals jump speed. Alright, and then let's go ahead and make these gravity things. Gravity and jump speed. So we'll make public float gravity equals 9.81f. And I say gravity, but depending on what type of enemy it is, you can use gravity as it's like weight. Just how much how fast you want him to fall. So like if it's a big enemy, we can make its gravity larger just to give it the effect that it's heavier. So it's useful that way. Make another public float speed. If I can spell it right, or not speed, jump speed. I'll make this one, I don't know, 1.5. Okay, and then the last thing to do is our get random bool unlikely. So what I'm going to do is just copy this entire method and then change the name of it. And now what we're going to do is make this unlikely. So we'll change this to 0 and then we'll do 1 in 100. Now you're probably thinking, why is that so high? In fact, I'm thinking that might be too much actually, or too little. But remember, this is inside of our update function, so this is checking every single frame if it's running this check every single frame. So you do want it to be relatively unlikely. Now once again, that's only if we are grounded. So if we are in the air, then it will not run this check. But still, I want to keep that pretty unlikely. And depending on how it actually acts in game, I might have to change this number a little bit, maybe lower, maybe higher, not entirely sure. Okay, so let's see, we've got left and right motion, we've got jumping, we've got randomizing booleans. Let's give it a shot. I'm going to pause the video because I got to load up Unity. Alright, we're back, and you'll notice if I click back on my spawner here, this enemy's now, it's set to none, and it has parentheses enemy. What that means is because our old prefabs, which were game objects, are no longer apply, so they've been removed. Because now it'll only accept enemies inside of our enemy array, which is good, we want that. So what we're going to do is make this guy type of enemy. We can just add an enemy script onto him here, like so. I'm going to remove its box collider, so we can just use our character controller. Let's make its radius something like I can't tell if it's, I'm pretty sure that is actually exactly on the cusp of it there. Its collision might be a little strange, but we'll see how it works. Because we are generally working only on a 2D plane, so even though it has a circular collider, it should work just fine because we're only going to touch that point there. Alrighty, speed, jump speed, whatever. Let's hit apply. Let's do the same for our sphere. Let's remove its sphere collider. Add on an enemy. And this time we'll make this guy, we'll make him fast. We'll make him like 5. Or maybe 4. And his jump speed we'll make it like 3. Hit apply. Our spawner, let's add in our cube and our sphere. Let's give it a shot. Oh, he's moving up. Oh, that's right. I forgot I have to make the, well, I could have done it in there, but actually this might be easier. Instead of, where is it? Adding our gravity, we need to subtract this, so do minus equals gravity. Oh, sorry about that. Let's go ahead and give it a shot now. Alrighty, his speed is kind of slow. I like the jumping though. It is kind of around the right amount that I want him to. But we'll make him 5. Okay, one thing I think I forgot to do is, because we were doing our move times delta time, we don't need to. I don't think we need to do his speed like that as well. So let's go ahead and see if that'll make it a little bit more realistic. Oh, there we go. Okay. Yep, okay. That fixed that. So it's been a long video, actually. I'm trying to keep these rather short, but I'll be with you guys in the next video. Hopefully we'll see if we can get some sort of health system working. So like when they hit you, you lose the health.